Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Chassidus in the Morning. 15 minutes to change our lives. Parshas Noach, Chelek Aleph. So yesterday we were talking about that there's sort of three ideas that all come together. The Mabul, first of all, the Mabul wasn't just to destroy the world. On a deeper level, or the purification, just like the mikveh, it has to be a minimum of 40 sah. So to the Mabul was 40 days. And the second thing we learned, and now so that's what we're saying, 40 days. And then we also learned, there's a thing called today's Parnasa, financial concerns, bothers, just like the raging waters that really get to us. But the trick is, if we realize that the purpose of the Mayim Rabbim, the purpose of these concerns and all these issues, really just to help us connect, so then they start becoming issues. And it makes life a lot easier. And just changes our attitude and realization. And that's also why I like the mikveh, the 40 sah of the mikveh, because the mikveh you get totally consumed. What's being totally consumed? Meaning connecting to Hashem and having that bittul, that nullification, that connection to Hashem. And when you have that, the connection to Hashem, meaning the clarity of what's going on, like we learned in the other Sikha, where Hashem's in charge, so then that issue goes away. Because it's sort of what we're saying is that these issues that come to us, these Mayim Rabbim, they're just to bring out the deeper love that we have to Hashem. So therefore, through these challenges, and by recognizing what they're there for, it gets us out of them. So now today we're going to talk about another set of challenges. We're going to add to this. What about in regards to Mayim Rabbim? Generally, we're talking about financial concerns. It's like worldly issues. Now we're going to talk about what are spiritual issues. That these ideas connecting with our spirituality. Let's see. Ois Dalid. Hamayim Hasdainim Shal Mabul. So the raging waters of the Mabul, they're divided into two types. There was Tehom Rabbah from the depth, and then you have Aruva Hashemayim from the heavens. So you have these two, the waters when they came from the flood, it came from two places. It came from above, it rained, and also it came from below. It says all the water that was blowing, the rivers and things, they all burst forth. So waters come from both sides. So what does this mean spiritually? So too, with these concerns and bothers and things that stress us out, they get it to us. They exist in two types. You have the Tehom Rabbah, which is from below. Lower level things, which is like gashious issues, concerns, financial, physical, things like that. And then you have Today's Parnasa, that's the Today's Parnasa and things like this. And then you have Aruva Hashemayim. Then you have the water coming from the heaven, which is Today's Ruchlim, which is the concerns and the bothers, things that distract us, but from a spiritual place, from a Kedushitic place. And he'll explain. Like, for example, and you can apply a lot more things, but this is like a simple example. It's like a person that is doing, helps the community. So they're doing spiritual things. They're helping people, and they're giving tzedakah, let's say, or they're doing social services, helping the community out in any way, shape, or form that we do. Could be, a more practical example could be like being a teacher. And so, but these things can also have the same type of effect like the Mayim Rabbim. And he'll explain. And these concerns affect us from doing Torah mitzvahs and connecting to Hashem. Now, they were saying, first of all, let me make something clear. I'm not saying we shouldn't do good things. I'm not saying, it's like I have nothing to do in my life but learn to do mitzvahs. Of course, you should do tzibur, you should help the community, you should help, you should do spiritual things like being a teacher and things like this. All these are good things, helping part of the community. It's like another example you could say, it's like when someone's in the shul, let's say in the gabbai of the shul. So a lot of times the gabbai gets caught up doing all these things for the shul, So, but the Gabbat ends up not doing anything themselves. It's like, so instead of davening, you're sitting there running around setting up the Kiddush, let's say. That's another simple example. But this example is something we have to apply, and ultimately, everything we learn here, everyone is their own person with their own lives and their own difficulties and own challenges. And what we got to, and this is like the key to appreciating the Chassidus and to appreciating what the Rebbe is saying, is to learn how the Rebbe is telling you. The Rebbe it doesn't tell you, when I first started to understand Chassidus, I always ask myself, why is it so general? Like, just tell me exactly what I should do. Why does it give me such broad ideas? And that's because the Rebbe can't sit there and tell every single person every single issue. So he's giving you the principle, the hanacha. And our job is to sit on this idea and think about it and internalize it and say, hey, so what does this mean for me? What is my tirdas beruchnis? What's beruchnis bothering me that's taking me away from Torah mitzvahs? And that's what he's saying. And we have to sit there and put in the effort to think about it for ourselves and how does it apply to in my situation. And when you do that, and when you do it properly, not trying to make it fit to suit my needs, but putting myself to it and trying to say, what is Rebbe trying to teach me, and learning it, that will make a big difference, and that will be more connecting. So we do have to help the community, do public services, things like this. But the problem is we have to remind ourselves that I can't go to the point where we're not doing Torah mitzvahs. It's like a shliach all day. Imagine a shliach who's like, I'm busy helping people, so I don't have time to put on tefillin. And that's an obvious case. It doesn't make any sense. But it could even be, I don't have time to learn properly, and these are challenges, and we all face them. And it's not that we're wrong. It is wrong, but it's not that like we're bad people. We don't realize this is the tiras. This is the concern, the bothers. They get to us and we forget about it. We lose track. And that's sort of what we're talking about. The Rebbe is saying that we're losing track of this, and we have to remind ourselves. Only 1 second. I have to make sure to daven every day. I have to make sure to say brachas before I eat. I have to make sure do Torah mitzvahs, do whatever at least the minimum required for me. And I have to ask myself, am I doing it or I'm not doing it? If I'm not doing it, why am I not doing it? And is it because I'm giving myself an excuse because I'm busy being a teacher and I'm busy helping kids out, or I'm busy doing something else, so therefore I'm not doing it? And once we figure that out, we can figure out how to apply that. Like where can we add to it? Where can we fix it up? The whole purpose of mitzvah is to cleave to Hashem and connect to Hashem. And they connect us, the person fulfilling the mitzvah, with Hashem. Therefore, automatically, automatically they give us a chayus, excitement, a liveliness in connecting to Hashem. When there's something lacking, some issue with this, because we're not behaving according to what it says in Shulchan Aruch, so therefore, then how does it help everything that I'm doing, all the other good things that I'm doing? Meaning, to do good things is nice, but not at the expense of someone else, not at the expense of yourself, not at the expense of your connection to Hashem. Hashem has His requirements from you that we have Torah mitzvahs to do. So I can't say I don't have time to say brachas or to do the minimum amount of davening because I'm busy being a teacher, I'm busy taking care of my kids. So therefore I don't have to daven. Now, of course, kids are a different situation, and that's why as women have special mitzvahs and are part from a lot of mitzvahs. But the general idea we're saying, but it's not a healthy atmosphere to say to yourself, you know what, I don't have to do anything. Because I'm taking care of my kids, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to say brachas, I don't have to wash my hands. Of course you have to do all these things. And it takes seconds, and you got to figure out what you're able to do, but we have to realize that we have to do Torah mitzvahs to connect ourselves. But without that connection to the Torah mitzvahs, then we're losing, then ultimately we're going to lose out in all the nice things that we're doing. Because that's what I'm saying. All the nice things that we're doing are nice, but if you're lacking, if you're getting someone to put on tefillin, and you're not putting tefillin yourself, but you're getting a girl to light Shabbos candles, but because of that you're not lighting Shabbos candles on time, so you miss the point. But what happened, the reason why this is an issue is because we get sidetracked a little bit. And we say we're busy doing all these good things, but we forget about ourselves and what we need to be doing as well. And this is what we're saying. Because the purpose of Torah mitzvah is to connect us to Hashem. And only through that connection to Hashem, we can achieve all these things. Now, in the short term, we might look at it and we might see we're doing, you might see someone, they're doing all these good things. But in the long term, it doesn't last. It's not a long-term solution. It's a short-term gain with a long-term loss. And therefore, we have to remind ourselves, am I making sure to daven every day, to do my mitzvahs that I need to be doing? Am I learning every day? Am I connected? I'm making my own connection, especially as a teacher, let's say, or as a mother. We can't give what we don't have. And so in order to be a good giver, in order to be able to do all these important things we need to do, and all spiritual things, that's what we're talking about here. I'm talking about the concerns of like physical, mundane stuff. We're talking about spiritual. How do I get my kids to be more connected, more chayes to lakus, and all these things? But if we don't take care of ourselves in this matter, then we can't give. You can only give what you have. That's what he's saying. Now, the person will come and say, "Hatayna shel tidois baruchas hashamayim." This complaint and this issue with these spiritual issues in Yanim Ruchnim, the mistake is founded. Marka Taina Kazu Eino Nafshalikis. They were saying this issue is not coming from Nafshalikis. We have to understand it's called Nefesh Bahamas. Meaning, normally thinking Nefesh Bahamas is that I want to eat more cheesecake and I don't want to daven. But he's saying the Nefesh Bahamas can say, I want to help another yid. I want to go help another yid. I don't have time to daven. I'm davening and I'm running. It's like when a person is learning, and and so we're distracted learning. Why? Because we're trying to help someone. We have to have our time for learning, and this has to be a chayk. This is when we're learning. I heard about a shliach that until 1 o'clock, I think it was 1 o'clock or maybe 11 o'clock. He's like in yeshiva. It's like in Kollel, and he doesn't talk about anything in shliach. I think. And that's his time. And this is what they were saying, that a person comes saying to himself, no, I'm busy on shlichus. You're learning. You have to do all these good things. But he understands that he has to our purpose is we have to connect to Hashem. And how do we connect to Hashem? To turn mitzvahs. So we have to make that hanach and take clarity. Now, of course, everyone has to figure out the situation. You can't just say, I'm not coming to work till 12 o'clock because I'm busy learning. It doesn't work. But in our life, we have to make sure that we're not losing that our tirdes, our brothers, when it comes to even spiritual things, are not taking away from our learning. We're making sure to learn and daven and do all the mitzvahs, terms that we have to do. Yeah. And the proof that this is coming not from the Nefesh Elokis, from the Nefesh Bahamas, he hafra b'luminator, give mitzvahs. Because Allah and Shulchan Aruch have to learn to do mitzvahs. We have the mitzvah we have to do, and everyone has what they have to do, and they know what they have to do. And therefore, anything that's taken away from that, it's not coming from Nefesh Elokis. The Nefesh Elokis doesn't come and tell you, stop saying brachos so you can help another yid do a mitzvah. That's not the Nefesh Elokis. That's Nefesh Bahamas. Davar vadei hefuch shel kedusha. This is for sure opposite of holiness. The kivan shehu hefuch kedusha, and being this is opposite of holiness. Harei av shekarega asuku ba'arichas be'arovos hashamayim. Even though for this moment you're going to be doing all these holy things because you're helping another yid, and you're doing all these tarchet tzibur, all these communal issues you're taking care of, these nice things, you're giving tzedakah, whatever it is. But yerid hu b'sefer shel davar midechi al dechi mi'avad hashamayim l'tein rabba. Ultimately, you're gonna go down and down from this level of concerns of spiritual things to concerns of physical things, and you're just gonna go down. It's not gonna last long. So even at the moment you're doing good things, you're connecting, it's all cool, but it just goes down and down and down, and that doesn't work. So what we're saying is to summarize it at the end of Isdal, to summarize it, essentially what we're saying is like this: we have to realize that there's different types of concerns of things that bother us and match us and they like confuse us. Some of them are like just physical things like parnasa and shidduchim and things like this, and some of them are spiritual things, helping another person, doing communal things, or even like being a teacher and things like this. And what happens? It can take us away from doing what we got to do. We have to remember that every day we should be learning a little bit. Have to make sure we're doing Torah mitzvahs the way we should be doing. And if any of these thoughts are taking away from that, that's a problem. And that's what we see from the whole story of the Mabul, because the Mabul had two levels. There was the water that came from Shemayim, and the water came from below. The water came from below is like the Mayim Rabbim, is the financial concerns and the mundane concerns. And then there's the Shemaim ones, which is more the spiritual high concerns. Ultimately, whatever it is, whether concerns are spiritual or physical, if they're getting in the way of taking care of ourselves properly, making sure that we take care of ourselves and do the right thing we need to do, so then it's a problem. Thank you very much for joining, everybody, and to be continued.